In this talk, I will convey the teachings of the ancient Stoic Marcus Aurelius, who dared to reimagine our relationship with misfortune, impermanence, and the constant fluctuations of the universe. Their model does not seek to overcome life's inevitable difficulties, but rather to build an inner citadel fortified by reason, self-mastery, and acceptance of what we can never dominate. By grasping the Stoic dichotomy between the controllable and uncontrollable, you stand to transcend the reactive turbulence plaguing the human psyche, to concentrate your energies solely on what lies within your sphere of volition while shedding attachment to that which you can never subjugate. For in doing so, you unlock profound freedoms, the obliteration of fear, the untouchable tranquility amidst turmoil, and the power to alchemize each apparent obstacle into philosophical heroism. Prepare your mind to receive these ancestral wisdoms, forged in the historical crucibles that tested Stoicism's mettle. For they beckon us to not merely endure the slings and arrows of our ephemeral odyssey, but to thrive as inspirations of unwavering virtue in the face of existence's ceaseless flux. Before we begin, I would appreciate your support. Don't forget to click like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any posts. If you like the theme of this video, please comment +1, and if you don't like it, then comment 0. We look forward to hearing your feedback. Number 1. Marcus Aurelius and his philosophy. To lead an ethical life in accordance with Stoic virtue, this was the lofty pursuit of the philosopher king Marcus Aurelius. Despite holding the highest power as Roman emperor, he eschewed luxury and pleasure, instead devoting himself to the service of humanity through reason and philosophy. The core tenet that grounded Marcus Aurelius was the Stoic dichotomy of control, clearly separating what is within our control from what is not. As he wrote in his celebrated meditations, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it. We cannot control external events, whether bodily ailments, tragic losses, or the misdeeds of others. However, we can control how we respond through our judgments, desires, and actions rooted in wisdom and virtue." Epictetus, the esteemed relative of philosophy, insightfully observed, "It is not events that disturb people, it is their judgments concerning them." By relinquishing our control over what we cannot change and focusing our energy on our sphere of influence, our own mind, character, and actions, we cultivate resilience to withstand life's inevitable storms. And what of pleasure and indulgence, you may ask? To the Stoic, virtue is the sole good, and pleasure is at best a morally neutral byproduct, not a pursuit in itself. As Seneca remarked, the greatest blessings of mankind are within us and within our reach. A wise person is content with their lot, whatever it may be. So, fellow sojourners in this philosophical voyage, embrace the ancient wisdom of Marcus Aurelius. Distinguish the controllable from the uncontrollable. Fortify your mind through reason and virtuous living. In doing so, you equip yourself with the unshakable poise to not merely endure life's adversities, but to emerge from them as a beacon of resilience and philosophical heroism. Number 2. The past. That inescapable spectre that so often haunts the human psyche with regrets, nostalgic longings, or the vain attempt to relive faded glories. Yet we Stoics recognize the futility of fixating on what can never be changed. As leaves wither and fall from the tree, replaced by new buds in the eternal cycle of nature, so too must we shed our attachment to events and experiences that have already transpired. For what is past, no matter how sweet or bitter, has relinquished its hold over the present moment. To dwell excessively on memories is to forfeit the present to a mere shadow of moments already spent. Can any amount of anguish or rumination undo actions already taken or words already spoken? The past stands immutable, steadfastly refusing to bend to our desires and regrets. As Marcus Aurelius sagely counseled, do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. Yet the past can serve value as a teacher when we extract wisdom from its lessons, rather than remaining entranced by the hollow replication of bygone days. A remembrance of what has come before steels our discipline to avoid the pitfalls we once stumbled into prior. But like the footprints on a beach, wiped anew by each incoming wave, true tranquility lies in embracing the truth that the current reality alone exists with certainty. I leave you with this timeless question. What is the need to cry over parts of life? All of life requires tears. The only way forward is to embrace the present moment with a mind unclouded by old concerns. For presence lies in the freedom to direct our actions toward the good. Isn't that the only pursuit worthy of our finite existence? Number 3. The present. Too often, we become ensnared by ill-founded desires, wishing fervently that our reality would bend to our preferences. We balk at misfortunes and rail against the encroaching difficulties of daily life. Yet, is this not akin to a pig squealing and thrashing in futile resistance as it is led to slaughter? We forget that the present, in all its complexity and challenges, is strictly governed by the unshakable laws of nature, unfolding as they inevitably must. What is born must experience change. To desire otherwise is to desire the impossible, the unchanging in a universe defined by ceaseless flux. Can we stem the tides or halt the sun's arc across the sky through sheer wanting? Of course not. Such is the folly of opposing what is. Instead, we must disentangle our emotional energies from that which we cannot control and focus wholly on what lies within our reasoned choices, our actions, judgments, and striving toward virtuous character. As Marcus Aurelius notes, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Do not misunderstand. I do not counsel the abolition of feelings, for we are human, after all. It is not by a mind purified once and for all that we must approach each action in life. Rather, I advocate for meeting each arising circumstance, no matter how unwanted, with an inner stoicism, recognizing its inevitability as part of nature's grand unfolding. For is not adversity itself an opportunity to practice the virtues at the heart of the philosophy, to embody courage, justice, self-control, and wisdom in our responses? This is the supreme art of living, to face each of life's currents, not with struggling resistance, but with a noble poise that hallmarks one who has studied the path of reason. So, let us together embrace Marcus's exhortation. Nothing happens to anybody which he is not fitted by nature to bear. For in aligning ourselves with nature's flow, we discover the serenity to live not at odds with the present, but in harmony with reality's stream. Number 4. The future. Does the mere thought of what tomorrow may bring send your mind spinning into a vortex of fretful imagination? How the human psyche has an unparalleled proclivity for anxiously extrapolating myriad hypothetical scenarios, playing out dramas of fortune's cruel jests or misfortune's blows before they even transpire. Yet this compulsive need to preemptively inhabit the future breeds only torment. If you try to extend your mind's eye to gaze further ahead than is permitted, it will soon cloud over. How can we realistically prepare for events and circumstances not yet molded into form by the hand of fate? Like an archer squinting into the distant unknown, our limited vision renders us powerless to anything but blindly lose our arrows of worry into the opaque horizon. Has not your past been littered with experiences, both welcome and unwanted, that manifested in utterly unanticipated ways? Blessings arrived at your doorstep unlooked for, while at other turns, life jarringly upended your most carefully laid plans. Life is no cinematographic fable. In truth, the element of surprise is the only certainty we can expect from the future's mercurial unfoldings, rather than leeching the present of its vitality through a constant undercurrent of anxiety about what may or may not eventuate. We would be better served to embrace. Do not arrogate what is not yours. Never claim anything as private property that the nature of the whole has not articulated. For truly the morrow remains an uncharted land that defies our feeble attempts at mastery over its landscapes. How much more liberating to simply greet each new arrival, whether welcome guest or uninvited tempest, not with dread born of preconceptions, but with a calm resolve to respond with pragmatic wisdom and upright character when it announces itself. This is the embodiment of Stoic preparedness, not a wasteful expenditure fretting endlessly, but cultivating a practiced inner reserve to weather whatever gales may come. So look not far along the path yet untrodden, friend. Instead, walk grounded in this very moment, secure in your conviction to cross each forthcoming bridge as it appears before you with the timeless Stoic virtues as your guide. For that is serenity's surest foothold. Number 5. The schism between things we control and do not control. Imagine that you pass a beggar on the street, hunched and withered by years of destitution. He extends a trembling hand, pleading, "Sir, spare what you can for an old soldier of fortune." At that moment, two divergent paths lie before you. You can choose to let pity overtake you and surrender what coins you carry, or you can turn a cold shoulder and continue on your way. The beggar's plea and your response. Those lie within your authority to exert control. However, whether he ultimately spends those coins on nourishment or wastes them at the gaming house is utterly outside your circle of influence. This is the dichotomy the Stoics implored us to apprehend. For when we become emotionally invested and extend our locus of concern into provinces not of our dominion, we surrender our tranquility to the whims of external forces. We enmesh ourselves in a net of potential anguish, as every hoped expectation dashed or unanswered prayer delivers a fresh pang of dissatisfaction. Even more insidious, we render ourselves vulnerable to manipulation by those who would exploit our fixation on matters beyond our own reasoned choices. Like marionettes jerked about by the mercies of all that we cannot govern, we sacrifice the unshakable independence of mind that is the Stoics' treasured inheritance. And so I urge you to take stock of where your psychic energies reside. If you discover they have become mired in fruitless angst, corralled by an illusion of potential control where none exists, then you must rein them in. Circumscribe your sphere of concern solely around that which you may act upon through your own prudence and willpower. For in this exists the key to inner equilibrium, equanimity amidst the turbulence of the uncontrollable. Does this make the path easier? Certainly not, but it forges the realism and resilience to march forward with humble wisdom. Number 6. Disengaging emotional investment in matters beyond our control. Can you sense it? That persistent undercurrent of mental agitation stemming from your embattled tug-of-war with circumstances beyond your influence. The worrying over future uncertainties, the resentment still stubbornly clinging from past slights, the frustrations with others' choices that differ from what you'd want. We have become all too accustomed to this needless turmoil. Yet the path to tranquility lies in disengaging our emotional investment from such externalities. Not through a harsh rejection, mind you, but rather a philosophical recentering of our psychic energies, to gently unwind the tendrils of our consciousness that we have unwittingly entangled amid matters fundamentally outside our own reasoned volition. This was the transcendent mindset that enabled Marcus Aurelius to uphold his unshakable poise while shouldering the weighty duties of the Roman emperor. Consider the staggering abundance of influences competing for his convulsed attention, the endless petitions of his subjects, the pressures of military campaigns, and the intrigues of scheming politicians. Any ordinary person would have been utterly unraveled. Yet Marcus Aurelius's commitment to Stoic philosophy anchored him to discern the circumference of what lay within his direct control, his own judgment, intentions and conduct in service of virtue. All else, the outcomes of battles, the allegiances of allies, even the adoration or scorn of the masses, he could calmly disengage from and let lie undisturbed, like leaves fluttering in the periphery as he persisted along reason's course. And that is where the deepest freedom resides, not in the hustle to bend the universe to our preferences, but in the noble reserve to navigate life's inevitable vagaries with an inner constancy. Is it not more liberating to divest ourselves of attempting to govern the ungovernable and instead redirect that psychic energy towards tending to our own perspective, motivations, and deeds? So let us together loosen our white-knuckle grip on what we cannot control, not through grim-faced abandonment, but by pragmatically refocusing our care and concern on the only true locus of our influence, the self-sculpting of our own character and choices in alignment with virtue. Number 7, practicing virtue in the face of adversity, that constant, inescapable companion that seems to delight in taunting our tranquility, whether it manifests as bodily ailments, tragic losses, or simply the ceaseless inconveniences that pepper daily existence. There is no circumventing its repeated visitations upon the human experience. Yet what I told you is that these inevitable trials need not be met with dread or resignation, but could, in fact, present immense opportunities. You see, the true measure of a life well lived does not reside in the ephemeral realm of external circumstances, which ebb and flow like the cosmos's eternal dance. Rather, it is sculpted through our capacity to face each situation that fate delivers to our door, with reasoned virtue and philosophical heroism. The Stoics recognize that sufferings, setbacks, and any perceived misfortunes are, in truth, mere value-neutral events, neither good nor bad in their essential nature. It is our own judgments that render them into grave miseries or surmountable challenges. As Marcus Aurelius aptly phrased, the universe is change, our life is what our thoughts make it. When you peer beyond the illusion of good or bad fortune, every apparent obstacle emerges as a living exercise in pragmatic wisdom, a chance to fortify your character through dimensions of Stoic virtue, to cultivate courage by steadfastly enduring hardship, to temper your disruptive passions through self-discipline, to epitomize justice by maintaining upright conduct regardless of circumstances. This was the mentality that empowered the great Stoics to withstand unimaginable tribulations, from Musonius Rufus's unwavering resilience through years of exile to Epictetus's refusal to be cowed by enslavement and physical torture. They welcomed each new adversity not as an impairment, but as an alchemical catalyst to further refine their philosophic substance. So, do not reflexively recoil from misfortune's rugged features, for in its shadow brilliantly shines the light of opportunities to concretize your greatest potential as a human being. Will you instead yield to base complaint and despondency? Or will you meet each arising test as a living monument to the Stoic ideal of the philosopher hero? The path is yours to choose. Stride forth and transmute that which life sends your way into further cause for inspiring the perfection of your own rational will and virtue. For that is not simply a life well lived, it is a life victoriously achieved. In this discourse, we have explored the timeless Stoic precepts for maintaining equanimity and virtue amidst life's ceaseless undulations. We examined the dichotomy of control, prudently investing our energies solely in our reasoned choices rather than futile lamentations over what eternally eludes our sway. We contemplated the fleeting impermanence of all phenomena, relinquishing attachments to the immutable past and opaque future alike to reside fully in the present's immediacy. And we cast our gaze inward, seeking the unconquerable freedom of inner peace, one not contingent on capricious fortunes, but on aligning our judgments and actions with the universal logos through philosophic heroism. If these teachings have rekindled an ember of that which sets your soul aglow, I invite you to continue fanning its flames. Subscribe to this channel so that we may remain in commune as guides illuminating the ancient Stoic path. And share your resonances in the comments below so that we may elevate this discourse as an ever brighter beacon amidst the human condition's night sea. For those courageous enough to undertake this sojourn authentically, I can promise only this: the rewards will transcend all temporal riches. You stand to inherit that which can neither be bestowed nor stripped away. The imperturbable composure, resilience, and rational mastership over your own consciousness that hallmarks the Stoic sage. An odyssey most arduous, but one that beckons us to inhabit our highest selves. So, I extend my humble gratitude for your willingness to receive these teachings. For in caring enough to enrich your philosophic vitality, you honor the noblest provinces of human potential within us all. Upon this Pathfinder's trail, where the intrepid of the heart is always most welcome.